If someone would ask me to name one feature in Angular that would make me go wow, then it definitely is the two-way data binding system. When developing data entry forms, we often want to both display a data property and update that property when the user makes changes. The ng model two-way data binding syntax makes that easy. Let's create a simple input element and add two-way data binding to it. But before we can use ng model directive in a two-way data binding, we must import the forms module. So Angular CLI has already imported the forms module for us. So let's go into our app.module.ts and then make sure that we have the forms module imported. Also make sure that it's part of the imports here. And then let's go back to our app.component.ts file and create an input element. So what we want to do now is to create a property on app component called message and assign it some value. The next thing that we want to do is to add the ng model to the input element. Adding ng model to the input element has a special syntax. Notice that the syntax for two-way data binding involves both square braces and parentheses. This is combining two things that we have already talked about. The parentheses represent the event binding and the square brackets represent property binding. So you can think of the square brackets and parentheses in a combination as two-way data binding. And we have set the value of ng model to message, which is a property on our app component. And now when we save this file, over in the browser, the value of message gets displayed in the input box. Now let's also create a div with interpolation syntax for the message component property. Now when you make changes to the text in the input element, the changes are displayed in the div as well. This is called two-way binding. Now when I try to make changes to the text in the input element, you can see that the value of message is changed and the same is being displayed in your div element. So if I type the hello back, then again, it's getting displayed. So this is the two-way binding. Two-way bindings are very helpful when working with forms. We will take a closer look at this when we get to the forms section.